It's Sarah. So I'm able to make videos again because I got my Wi-Fi. I tried to make one and upload it with LTE, but it didn't work very well. It was kind of bad. So hopefully you can see me. I think my screen got moved a little. But I wanted to talk about... This is really hard to do because I have to lean over the chair. Anyways, I'm sitting here with Chrome. He's just chilling by my feet. I've been obsessed with guide dog and service dog videos. I like the guide dog ones better, but I've been watching every single guide dog, service dog video that there is on YouTube. That's like all I watch. And I know it sounds really dumb, but they're really cool to watch. So I just thought I would talk a little bit, because I know I have like 88 subscribers, and I know some of you personally, but I don't know if I know all of you. I don't know who all is subscribed to my channel or what. I wanted to talk about guide dogs a little bit, and just my experience. I'm on my second one. The first one was quite a ride, but there'll never be another Pop. I can tell you that. My first dog was named Pop, and he was very precocious. He had his own personality, his own way of things. He had severe separation anxiety, like to the extreme. I took him somewhere, and it was a very bad experience. If he wasn't by me, it was bad, unless he was at home in his kennel. If he were somewhere else and he wasn't by me, it was destructive and bad and horrible. I will explain. Anyway, so growing up, we had a lot of dogs. Our first dog was Teddy. He was a chow. He was very trained. He went potty outside. He played outside. He played with us. I wasn't fond of him, but I wasn't like, oh my god, this dog's horrible. I got used to him, and he was smart enough. He knew that I was blind, and I think, because every time I would walk, if I got close to him, he'd move out of the way. And so I thought that was really odd. But he would always move out of the way. Apparently, when I was little, we had a German Shepherd, but I don't remember none of that. I just hear stories. And I love German Shepherd's fur. I wish I could have one, but my school doesn't train them, and apparently they're not as good for guide dogs now. A lot of the schools don't use them. And I don't know what kind of energy or shedding they would have. I just love their furs, like, so fluffy. I just love that fluffy coat. It's like, I can't explain it. It just feels so fluffy and full, and I don't know. It's amazing. Anyway, back on to Teddy. So Teddy was trained, and I mean, we didn't really go to the vet that much, but he was like trained. I mean, he was a good dog. Eventually he got older, and he didn't like being around kids. He didn't like being around people. He bit my sister, and so we wound up having to get rid of him. He bit my youngest sister, and so we wound up getting rid of him. My dad and my sister were bawling. The one that got bit, she was super upset. Everybody was crying, and it was really sad, and we all had to get rid of him, and she still liked him. She still likes dogs to this day. But we had to give him away to like a family that was just like a single person, or husband and wife, you know, somebody that didn't have a bunch of kids, that was looking for like an older dog to just lounge around and not be bothered and stuff. And the neighbors would tease him, and so like they were worried about like something happening with the neighbors, because then it would be our fault. So we had to get rid of Teddy. I don't remember how old he was. I want to say like 10 or something. But I really don't know. But he was older. We had him for a long time. So then after that, my family doesn't have a very good history with pets. It's just bad. Like, it doesn't work. So we had countless dogs throughout my childhood. Countless dogs. I could name, I don't even remember all their names. And we had cats too. We had one cat that was named Colette that would claw the crap out of you when you tried to go up and down the stairs. It hurt really bad. Anyways, so we had a bunch of different dogs. We had like a terrier named Rufus, and we had like, God, I don't remember. We had so many. We had a collie named Chaz, and it bit my dad when he chased it or something. I barely remember that. I don't remember. We just had countless dogs, and my family didn't really take the time to train these dogs. And they would put newspaper down for the dogs to go potty, and the dogs wouldn't go outside. And so they would get a dog, and then after a while, we didn't train it, and my family got sick of it, so they'd get rid of it. Then my youngest sister would convince them to get another dog, and they felt bad for her, so then we'd get another dog, and then we'd wind up getting rid of that dog for some reason, then we'd get another one, and the cycle just kept going and going, and it just going. And my sister is better now with the pets. My family, my mom and them are so-so, but my sister had a dog, and she did keep it until it died recently. So some of my family is getting better with the pet thing, and some of them just really aren't pet people. So I would wake up at night, or in the morning, and I would walk out of my room, and I could smell the dog dew on the newspapers, and I couldn't come out of my room until somebody cleaned it up, because I didn't know where it was, and I wasn't allowed to step in it. So I had to wait, depending on what time my family got up. I couldn't even go to the pee, because the newspapers were like everywhere, and they just went wherever. So like all throughout the hallway, there'd be like newspaper and dog dew everywhere. So it wasn't like on the carpet or anything. It was on these newspapers, and I would always have to wait for my family to come clean up the newspapers so that I could go about the house. And so I started hating dogs. I was like, why would people own a dog? This is stupid. Why would you deal with this? Like, how would a blind person own a dog and deal with this crap? Because I was like, I could never own a dog. I would step in the poo, and it would make big messes. And why would anybody want to deal with that? Like, seriously. Like, the dogs jumped on you, and they barked, and they were just... Who wants to deal with that? Like, I don't want some big dog jumping all over me after he went poo on the newspapers and made me stay in my room. I hated it. So I wound up hating dogs, like, with a passion hating dogs. I did not like them because I was like, dogs are horrible. I didn't put together the fact that Teddy was trained, but all these other dogs, I was like, these dogs are horrible. And why would anybody want this? My family's crazy. I'm never going to own a dog because I'm not putting up with this bull crap. Like, I'm not going to deal with it. So much work, and who would want to deal with that? So I wound up hating dogs, like hating. So one day when I was older, I was, I want to say 19 or 20, maybe 21. I don't know. I was late teens, early 20s, I can say that. I think I got pop when I was 23. So maybe about a year before that, year and a half. Because I couldn't go, because I had to have foot surgery, and they made me wait until after my foot surgery, so I had to go in the spring instead of the fall. Anyway, so this one day my mom comes home with this. I've come home from the Center for the Blind, and I'm just hanging out from Lincoln, and they picked me up, and my mom comes in, she's like, I got this dog. It's a Choco Lab, and its name is Choco, and I'm going to raise it for you to be a guide dog. I said, no, you're not, because I don't want it. She's like, yeah, you do. I'm like, no, I hate dogs. I don't want it. She's like, just pet it. I'm like, no, I don't want to pet the stupid dog. I don't want the dog. I don't want it by me. I hate dogs. I don't want to deal with it. Get it away. She's like, you have to pet the dog. I'm like, if I pet the dog once, will you leave me alone? She said, yeah. So she's holding this dog, and I go up to pet this dog, and it's just sitting in her arms, like super, super calm. And I'm like, holy crap. I've never seen a dog do that before. He was really, really calm. And I was just in shock that he was just sitting there and like letting me pet him and staying in my mom's arms. And I was like, what the hell? Like, I've never experienced this before. I've never seen a dog like this. So then she told me that he could play toys. So we started playing tug of war, and I was like, what the hell? Dogs can play? Like, we never had a dog that played. I didn't know dogs could play frisbee and tug of war and fetch the toy. I mean, all the dogs I had were just dogs that jumped on me and barked and pooped everywhere and pissed me off, and I wanted them gone. So I was like in shock because I would throw the toy, the dog would fetch it. Somehow it knew I was blind and it would bring the toy to my hand. And it would leave the toy in my hand or right by me so that I could find the toy. And I was just in shock. I was like, how does it know that? Like, somehow it knows that I'm blind or something. And I was just in shock. I'd never seen a dog like that. So I got a little overzealous. Decided I wanted to give the lab a bath. So I fill up the bathtub and I'm telling it to get in and it won't get in. I'm screaming and tugging on it and shoving it and it won't go in. My mom hears me yelling. She comes in. She's like, what's going on? I'm like, he won't get in the bath. She said, the water's too full. I'm like, no, it's not. She goes, yeah, it is. So she lets the water down and Lab hops in the water. And I'm like, what in the world? Like, how did it know that the water was too full and it couldn't get in there? So I was kind of shocked by that. Well, then a couple weeks later, my parents decided they had to get rid of the lab because they found out that it was more work than they could deal with, which I knew that was coming, surprise. And my mom could never train a guide dog. They take so much work, like, there's no way. So she was going to get rid of the dog, and I was like, I don't care, I hate dogs anyway, get rid of the stupid thing, I never wanted it. And I was real defensive. And then I went and saw Because of Winn-Dixie in the theater, and I just started bawling. And I was talking to my mom, and I was like, I don't know why, but I'm really sad. I kind of felt like I bonded a little bit with this dog, and it wasn't like any other dog that I've ever seen. And I was like, I feel so bad you're getting rid of the dog. He knows me, he likes me, and he's attached to me, and he's gonna freak out. And I felt like I had a buddy. Like, I don't know, something different happened. And so I was really upset. And my mom said, well, if you get a guide dog, it'll be like that, but more trained to help you. And I was like, I don't know, you know, I don't like dogs, but I wanted that dog. I didn't want any other dogs. I just wanted that dog because I hated dogs, but I liked that one. Gizmo, off. Gizmo, come on, stop. Sorry, my kitty's bugging me. So I was just like, I didn't want any other dog. I just wanted that dog. Even though I hated dogs, I wanted that one. So we got rid of it. I couldn't stop thinking about how it played, and it knew that I was blind, and it went potty outside, and it didn't jump on you, and it was super calm, and it came to you when you called it, and I couldn't believe it. I'd never seen anything like that in my life. I didn't even know dogs could play. I just thought they ran around and annoyed you. So I started looking into guide dog schools, and there was like a whole bunch of different ones. And I was like, gosh, where do I go? And I'd never flew on my own or been anywhere. My parents were kind of nervous because I was still really young. And we looked at some of the schools, and I was like, I don't know where to apply. So we just kept looking, and I called a couple schools, and I just wasn't sure. And all of a sudden, my mom comes across this website. I don't know how. I think she was like internet searching or something. And it was called KSDS, which stands for Kansas Specialty Dog Service. And they're a really small school. They're ADI accredited. But they're a really small school, and they were only 3 hours from me. And my mom was like, this is perfect. We can drive you down, and you can stay there by yourself, and then we can come up for graduation. And so I called, and the lady was super nice. And I went for my interview, because you had to go for an interview to the school. So I filled out my application. I went for an interview. She showed me Pop. I didn't know he was going to be mine, but she showed me Pop, and he jumped for me, and he was all excited to see me, and well-behaved and big, and I liked him for some reason. And I was like, I just want to take him home. I don't like dogs, but I like these dogs. They're not like other dogs. I hate dogs, but these dogs are different. I like these dogs, but I don't like dogs. Like, I don't like just anybody's random dog, but I like these dogs. And so, and it makes no sense. I'm still kind of like that. I'll pet other dogs, but I'm not like, oh, I can't wait to see your dog. I like to pet them sometimes because of their fur to see what it's like. But I'm not one of those people that like, now I love dogs and I want to see every single dog on the road and pet everyone's dog. I'm still not a huge dog person. But I like my dogs. And I like guide dogs and trained dogs and German Shepherd's fur. Anyways, So, oh, fudge buckets, are you kidding me? Hold on. Dropping stuff. So, my candles are all falling off the table. So, I called the lady and we talked, filled out the app, I went for an interview, and she was telling me all the different things that the dog could do, and I was just kind of shocked because I was so used to just being sighted guide or using my cane if I was by myself. And she was telling me how they could find things for me, like they could find the chair, they could find my spot, they could find where I was sitting, they could find the elevators and the trash cans, and they could go around obstacles. And I just thought, gosh, it would give me so much freedom, and it would just be so different. And I felt the independence and the fact of, I walk really slow because I'm not very confident and I'm worried about what's in front of me. I'm terrified of it. So I'm always scared that I'm going to run into something, and then I walk really slow with or without my cane. And when I don't have my cane, I walk even slower. But it just scares me. Like, I'm terrified of walking. So I just thought, gosh, I wouldn't have to think about it. I could trust the dog, and I think I actually trust my dogs a little too much because I don't trust myself. But I guess that's what they're for. So I just went home, and I don't think I ever told my parents this. I went home and I emailed my brailleist that I've known for like ever, and she was just ecstatic that I was going to get a guide dog, and I just sat and cried. I was just overwhelmed. Like, I couldn't believe that a dog could do so much stuff and could give you so much confidence and independence and make you feel good and make you not feel blind and feel like other people and feel normal. Like, you could walk by yourself and not hit people and trip people with your cane and not have people running out of the way. And when I have the dog and I can see, like, it's my eyes, I know that I'm blind and I know I have to do things differently. But for that split moment when I'm walking somewhere, I feel like I can see. Like, he's my eyes and I'm not blind and I have my whole body. And everything's whole. Because he's like an extension of me. He's my eyes and I'm me. And he sees for me. And in that split second, I feel confident. I feel like everybody else. I feel normal. I feel like I'm not blind. I feel like I fit in for once. I'm not being laughed at. I'm not being made fun of. I'm not being avoided. Except for some random mood people that decide they want to make kissy noises at my dog and say, "Oh, good birdie," and totally ignore me like I'm nobody. I get so pissed at that. But, I don't know. Like, I was amazed that these dogs could do so much stuff. And I realized that it could change my life. And my biggest regret in life is that I didn't get a guide dog earlier. But, some guy had come to our school when I was in 4th grade, and he talked about his guide dog, and I thought it was really cool that his dog had saved him from a fire, but I didn't ever want a guide dog. I told my parents for years I'm never getting a guide dog. I hate dogs. They're a pain in the ass. They poop everywhere. They jump on you. They're just... All I knew was the dogs we had, and I didn't want to deal with that. And when I realized there was different dogs out there, and dogs that could do stuff, and dogs that were trained, and dogs that were calm, and they could sit when you tell them to, and they could go outside, and they could lay down by your feet and not go wild. I mean, it just amazed me, and I knew there was something different. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm even crying. I knew there was something different about these dogs, and they weren't like other dogs, and they weren't like anything I had ever had. And I felt like maybe I could have that bond that I had for that tiny couple weeks with that chocolate Labrador. And so she showed me Pop, and, well, first we had a blizzard the night before. So I told my dad I was going to call and cancel, and he's like, "No, you're not. We're going to get you there." I'm like, "Dad, there's snow everywhere. It's a blizzard. People are stuck on the side of the road." And he's like, "I don't care. We're going." So I called her, and I said, "We might be a little bit late. We had a huge blizzard." And, you know, so she's like, "Okay, that's fine." So we get down there, and I meet Pop, and instantly I bonded. Like, I don't know if it was just, I didn't even know he was going to be mine, but I wanted to take him home because I knew he was different than any other dog. And she said, "Do you know how to command him?" And I said, "No." She said, "Do you know how to take care of him?" I said, "No." She's like, then would you feel comfortable taking him home if you don't know what to do? And I said, no, but I want him now. And then she said, well, what do you think of this dog? And I said, he's way too excited, way too hyper, and I'm not sure. And so she said, we have a class starting next week. Can you come? And I said, no, I'm sorry, I can't. My dad just drove me down here, and he's not going to want to drive again next weekend. It's too soon. He just drove all the way here, and I don't want to do that to my parents. And my dad said, she'll be there. And I said, are you sure you can drive me again? He said, yeah, you're going. And he was really excited, and my mom was really excited, and my family was just really excited. Because my dad always knew what these dogs could do. He knew that they could help me, but I would never listen to him. And I would never listen to my mom, but it was mostly my dad was, these guide dogs do so much, and they could just change your life. And I was like, nope, 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 nope. And I just wouldn't listen to anybody. I just thought, no, I'm never doing that. Like, I didn't know what guide dogs did. I don't think I knew about them enough. And I was so close-minded because of all the dogs we had that I just thought it's going to be another piece of hell. I'm going to have newspapers all over and step in dog poop, and I'm going to have a dog that jumps on me and won't leave me alone, and he's going to, wander the house and chew everything, and I just thought, I don't want what I had when we were little. I don't want to deal with all that. And so my dad said we would be there. So we went back down, and she showed us the campus and how to get to the hotel and everything. And I wish I could have videotaped my graduation. It was really cool. But I got to meet his puppy raisers, but I did in-home training with Chrome. So I didn't really get a graduation. I didn't get to meet anybody, which is the downside of not going to guide school, but it works out better because you can learn your routes at home and not have to teach the dog when you get home, so it's less stress. But, so I came home, I went to school that Sunday, and there was about 3 people in the class, because they were a really small school. And there was 3 people in the class, and was there 3? Olivia, Noki, Pop. I think there was 3. I'm not positive. I think there was 3, and then there was a bunch of people in the service dog class, because they train service and facility dogs too. And so Monday comes, and they're giving out these dogs, and they say, we have a yellow Labrador named, and Pop was the demo dog, so she had brought him to a lot of different events and stuff. So she said, we have a dog, a yellow Labrador named Pop, and he's going to Sarah Anson. And my dad had told me days before, he's like, that's your dog. I said, no, it's not. That's a demo dog. She shows it to everybody. And my dad said, no, I just know it, that's your dog, and she's going to give you that dog. I said, no, she isn't. And so then she said, Pop, and he started walking over. Well, they lost the leash because he went running. He got really excited. And he came and jumped on me and knocked me off the chair because he remembered me, and he was super excited to see me. It was like he picked me or something. I don't know how they match these dogs, but something about this, how they match these dogs, is just unbelievable. So he picked me, and he was really wild and crazy, and till the day he died or went to sleep, he had so much energy. He just never calmed down. But when I filled out my application, my foot problems weren't as bad as they were when I went there, and I had told her I wanted to do all this stuff and be real active, and so she was trying to give me a dog that would be like that, and I think it wasn't the best match. It wasn't a bad match. We bonded, but it wasn't the best match for me, just because my circumstances had changed. But that dog would have protected me with its life. I mean, I fully trusted him, and I just knew, I knew he would have my back. And so we started training, and I was just overwhelmed by all the stuff they could do, and I just loved having the dog. I liked caring for it, because I didn't have kids, I didn't have a partner, and it made me feel special, like something needed me, and I had to be there for something, because if I wasn't, that dog wouldn't have care, and it made me feel good that something needed me. And he was calm and he played frisbee and stuff. I said I wanted a dog that played frisbee, and he would fetch till your hands wore out. I mean, he would play and fetch and he wouldn't stop. He just fetched and fetched and fetched and fetched. He just wouldn't stop. So we trained and I went home and it was really chaotic. My mom made me go up to her work and show everybody, and they were all trying to pet him and do stuff you weren't supposed to do, and I was super overwhelmed. And my dad was trying to give it all these commands, but he didn't know any of the commands, and finally my family left and I just called my friend crying and I said, I can't do this. I can't deal with this. Everyone's commanding him. Everyone's telling me what to do. And she said that was normal, and I called my instructor and she said, just tell them what the rules are and give it time. And eventually they kind of came around, except for my dad. He bonded with Pop like you wouldn't believe. And he would do stuff before I could get there. Like the second we came home, he'd be letting him out of the kennel and running to the bathroom. And I'm like, Dad, I need to do that. And he's like, I got it. And so he kind of co-helped me with Pop, which I think is where we ran into a lot of problems. So Pop had really bad allergies, and he wound up having to be on allergy shots, and I couldn't give them, so my dad had to give them. And my dad had to give the flea and tick medicine, because you have to see and part the hairs, and I don't know how to do it. It's really complicated, and I can't do it. And he still has to do that for Chrome. So I had Pop for 10 years. He went to sleep on June 24th. He was 13 and a half, and he had gotten splenic cancer, and the tumor was breaking off and bleeding into his body. And within a week, he would have been in severe pain. So I had to put him to sleep and know that I was doing the right thing. And I called my instructor and talked to her for hours and just cried on the phone. I was freaked out. And I was just so upset. And I told her and I told my dad, I said, how did I go from hating dogs to this? Like, I can't let him go. There was something about this dog, it changed my life. He had very bad separation anxiety, and I did bring him to winter camp, and it was a very bad experience, and I couldn't do half the activities because I had to stay by him. My camp instructors were annoyed, but they were glad that I had the experience, and they were glad that I was taking responsibility and trying to come up with ways to solve the problem, and I was willing to stay with the dog instead of doing certain activities, and they were just glad that I was not trying to put it on them, and I was taking responsibility for my actions and dealing with it. If I went to winter camp now, Chrome would be a champion. He's so calm. He has no separation anxiety. I've brought him to a hotel. I went swimming for 3 hours. I left him in a pop-up kennel, and he just sat there. He's a completely different dog than Pop, opposite of Pop to the freaking T. He's just amazing. He's a way better match for me. I love Pop. I wouldn't trade it for the world. But this dog is such a good match for me. He's so calm. He wags his tail, but he's just calm. If you tell him to stay, he'll stay for just hours and hours and not move from that spot. And I feel like he's more of what a guide dog's supposed to be. I guess I don't know what a guide dog is and isn't supposed to be, but Chrome is just, I got him from the same school, and I think they've gotten better at their breeding and better at training, but he's just amazing. Like, he just really fits my lifestyle. He's easy go, kind of like me. He can sit under my desk all day while I work. He's super affectionate, but he's not like Pop at all. I mean, a lot of times if you let him roam, he'll just walk around the house or lay down or grab a toy and just, he's not even wild when he plays. He's just, I don't know. I'm starting to trust him more, but he's more like the dogs that I saw at winter camp. They didn't have any problems with their dogs, and I had all kinds of problems. And that's when I realized something was different with Pop, but he was my dog, and I had to own it. But Chrome reminds me of the other dogs that I saw from winter camp, from all the people that had them. He was calm. He sits there. He'll lay down. The second you say down, he's down. The second you say sit, he's sitting. Like, snap of your finger. And that's kind of how I saw these other dogs at camp. I saw them as obedient and just not so wild, and my mom always said, that's what a guide dog's supposed to be. But Pop did so many things, and he changed my life, and people have their own opinions about him, and I did some stuff wrong, and I know that. I had to go back for retraining because he got too used to my dad, and I know that there was a lot of things I did wrong, and I didn't follow all the rules, but I didn't realize at the time that it would affect me so much, and he was wild, and I had problems, and I should have never brought him to winter camp, but when he was around me, he did fine. What the hell? Stop! Okay, sorry. He went to work with me for 5 years, and school. He went to school with me, and he was fine. As long as he was by my side, he was a good dog. When we were at winter camp, he guided me somewhere, and I put my backpack on a big, I don't know what it was. It was like a ledge thing, a big, huge, tall, like bench thingy. I don't know. Well, I went to tell him to find it, and somehow Find My Backpack came out, and I didn't know what to do because I was like, crap, and he had already started going. So he jumps up on this ledge. It's really high, and I'm like, get off the ledge! What do you think you're doing? And I'm freaking out, and they're like, he's trying to show you that that's where your backpack is. I said, find the backpack, and he found the backpack. And I was just like, holy crap, like, how in the world? And then when I thought it was cool when Deb was telling me they can find their spot. Debbie is my guide dog instructor. And she had said that the dogs can find their spot. And I just thought this was so cool because, like, I had left stuff before, and then I couldn't find where I left my stuff, and I couldn't find my seat. And so it was cool to me that they could find my spot. And it was just so much easier than clunking around with a cane trying to find the sink. I mean, you say find the sink and he goes right to it like a sighted person, and you feel normal. You don't feel so clumsy, and people aren't saying, can I help you find the sink, ma'am? Did you need to go to the right, to the left? I mean, they just find it, and you feel normal. Like, you feel like everybody else. I don't know, with a cane, I don't feel like everybody else. I feel like I'm different, like I stand out, like something's wrong with me. But when I have the dog, I feel like everyone else. I just feel like I don't know, it makes me feel like I'm not blind. Even though I am, and there is stuff I have to do differently, when I'm walking down the street, or I'm walking down the hallway at work, or whatever, it makes me feel for that instant like I can see and I'm not blind. It makes me feel good, really good. Makes me feel independent and confident and free and more sure of myself. I still second guess myself, but not as much, because I know that the dog's there to back me up, and it's got my back, and it's gonna tag team with me, and together we're gonna make it. I was telling one time Pop, I had foot surgery again. Pop came up. My parents brought Pop over to their house because they wanted him to know I was okay. He walked up, sniffed my foot, laid down, and wouldn't leave. He growled at my dad every time my dad tried to come over. He wouldn't let my dad take him outside. He growled and barked at him. And my dad had to drag him out the door to go home. He wouldn't leave. And I was just amazed. He never did that. He'd always follow my dad around, follow my mom around. He'd follow around whoever was in there. And he'd come see what I was doing, then he'd go see what my dad was doing, then he'd go see what my mom was doing. He didn't. He laid right there for like 5 hours and just laid there, right by my side. And I was just amazed. I couldn't believe it. But there was a couple of years that we couldn't guide because of allergies. Like, there was no way to guide. We just couldn't do it. So he was wild, but, I mean, he had his moments, and overall, I mean, he was a smart dog. He was a good dog. He was one of a kind. I wouldn't trade it to this day, but, I mean, he was definitely something else. And I don't know, it changed me. And it just made me feel normal. I don't know how to explain it. I don't even know what normal is, or if normal is a thing, but it just, for that little space in time, it makes me feel like I'm like everybody else. And I'm not one of those fit-in people, like I need to be original and I need to just walk in line and follow the form and be like everybody else. I'm very big at, like, be yourself. But in that regard, with the dog, I feel like I'm like everybody else who's walking around and can see, and they just go right up to the chair or right up to the sink. Or, you know, when you have a cane and you're trying to find an empty chair, you have to ask somebody, or you hit them with the cane and you're like, oh, sorry, didn't realize you were sitting there trying to find an empty chair. With your dog, you just say find an empty chair, and they'll find that empty chair. They'll go around all the people. If there's a big crowd in the hallway, they'll just go around the crowd. There's so many things that Pop, well, and Chrome now, went around that I didn't even know of. We were walking one time and my dad was like, wow, he just went around that bike. Wow, he just went around that pole. Wow, he just went around that tree. And I didn't even know they were there. He just automatically took me around them, and my dad was fascinated. And I thought it was crazy because I didn't even know they were there. He just automatically would go around the cars and the stuff, and he would weave in and out. The problem with Pop was that he shed a freaking ton. He was like a machine. No matter how much I brushed him, which I could have done a better job, I won't lie. No matter how much I brushed him, he just shed and shed and shed. So nobody would let me bring him anywhere because they got fur all over their car, and it was just horrible, and I would get really depressed and upset because all my other friends went everywhere with their guide dogs and their parents and their husbands and their whoever. They didn't care. And I was like, why can't I be like that? Like, that's not fair. They get to bring their guide dog everywhere. But my parents wouldn't let me because they got so much fur in their car and it was just everywhere. And my mom was allergic to the dander. It bothered her nose. So I only brought Pop out when I was able to. And then when Pop died, I wasn't sure if I knew I wanted another dog, but I wasn't sure if I could do it. Because I missed Pop so much. And I started out fine. I didn't cry when they put him to sleep, and I started out fine, and I was like, I'm fine, I got this. And all of a sudden, one day, I accidentally came across this collar, started bawling, and I cried for like hours, and I was like so depressed that I didn't have him. So depressed. And so then November 6th, I got Chrome. I only had to wait for like 4 months because I guess they placed successors at the top of the wait list. And she knew Chrome would be a perfect match for me. And it was the last dog that they had until like springtime was. And so she came, and I just remember going outside. And I told her I really wanted a golden retriever. But I didn't really care what dog, as long as it worked for me. And I wanted one that didn't shed so much. And I remember her texting me and saying we're on the way. And I was so scared. I thought, she's going to get in a car wreck. Something's going to happen. Something really bad's going to happen. I'm not going to get my dog. And I had a lot of depression and anxiety by then. And I just had this horrible feeling. I'm like, something's going to happen. I'm not going to get my dog, and I'm going to be crushed. Well, she showed up. Obviously. And nothing happened. And so I came out and I greeted her and we were talking, and I started feeling around her collar, and she's like, go to the back and you'll find him. You'll find the dog. He's in the back. So I go to the back, and she opens up the back, and out comes this black lab. And I'm like, oh. And she's like, he's a black lab. And I'm like, oh, you're not a golden. And I guess they didn't have any goldens at that time. They're trying to change their breeding for the goldens. So they didn't really have a lot of goldens or something. I don't know what's going on. But somebody said that goldens would shed less, and somebody else said they would shed lots. I have no idea. So she said it was this black lab, and I was really surprised that it was a black lab. But I didn't care. I wasn't mad or anything. And, he started giving me a bunch of kisses, and she said, what the heck? He's never done that before. He doesn't do that. And I said, what? And she's like, he doesn't just lick people all over like that. And he just wouldn't stop licking me, and like he was trying to get on to, like, in my arms, and it was just crazy. And she said, he must like you. He must have picked you because he's never done that to me. He doesn't do that to anybody. And I was like, wow, like that's like insanely crazy. And she said he hardly ever sheds. She brushes him, but she never gets fur out. I think he's shedding his coat, though, because I did brush him some and fur came out the other day. When I gave him a bath, a bunch of fur came out and he shook and fur went all over. I didn't realize it, and I cleaned out my bathtub the best I could, but my dad said it was all over the walls and everything when he came over, and he had to clean it for me. And I didn't know. He's like, what did you do to Chrome? Why is there hair everywhere? I said, oh, I didn't know. I gave him a bath, and it just, something happened, and fur came out. But I think he's shedding his coat, but normally he doesn't shed at all. And my parents loved him, my family loved him, my sisters loved him. They couldn't believe how calm he was. I have a huge line of people that want him. I mean, a list of miles long. Everybody wants my dog. Everybody I know. And so we trained for like 2 weeks and learned different routes and stuff. Went out to eat, went to the mall, went on escalators, went on elevators, did all the public access work, all the stuff you have to do. There's a crap ton of stuff you have to do to get public access. There's this huge long checklist, and you have to master every single one. There was even some times where I went out with my mom, and she said I wasn't allowed to bring Chrome because I didn't have access rights. And so I went with my mom to the store, and I went with my mom to the bank, and I couldn't bring him. She said, no, you're not allowed. So I was really surprised by that, because I thought, like, once he was my dog, and I could do what I wanted. But I guess until the end of training, it's not my dog, and I can't do whatever I want. So towards the end, she finally did let me bring him to the grocery store, but she just kept saying, you don't have public access. You won't know what to do in a public access situation because technically you're not certified. And then she told me, hi Gizmo, she told me about the churches and that they didn't have to accept the dogs because it was a private entity and because of separation of church and state, and I never knew that. Me and my dad were like really surprised. But my family loves him. My dad's already bonded with him, granted not to the same degree as Pop, thank God. I feed him pretty much all the time. I take him out all the time. My dad does take him out once in a while, but he's not over here as much. I take him out all the time. I feed him. I think my dad might have maybe fed him once that I can recall, if even. I try to take him out whenever I can. If I'm at someone's house, my dad will do it, because I don't know where the out is. One time I did take him out with Scotland, though, and it was freezing cold. And she's like 4, and I was like, hurry up, Chrome, it's cold. And she's like, yeah, Chrome, hurry up, it's cold. Hurry up, Chrome. Chrome, I said hurry up. And it was really funny. And then she's in these, like, sleeper pajamas, like blankie sleepers. She's like, they said these pajamas are supposed to keep me warm, and that's why I loved them. But I'm cold. They're not working. And I was just dying of laughter. But Chrome is just so calm, and he just lays into my desk at work. They got him a bed. Some of the people behind me in IPC got him a bed to lay on. And they got him a fish to play with. And they got him a poopy dispenser because I lost the first one I had, and the second one broke. And so they got me one that's really good. It locks, so it clips onto the leash, but it locks so it doesn't come off. And everyone loves him at work. Everyone loves him in the family. And since he doesn't shed, I'm allowed to bring him everywhere, which I feel really good about. The first couple times it was awkward because I was so used to not bringing Pop that I was like, oh, there's no break. You're 24/7 with this dog. Like, it's rare that I have a break. Sometimes I don't bring him, but it's rare now. And so it's odd for me because I was so used to leaving Pop at home and that was my break from the dog. And now it's like, oh, you don't get the break. This is what normal guide dog life is like. You don't have a break. They go. You go, they go. So that's been really, really interesting for me to be able to bring him everywhere. And my sister gave me a ride to work the other day, and we sat in her front seat. And I've brought him into my sister's house, my other sister's house, and I brought him to the grocery store. Ow, Gizmo! Freak! You have sharp claws. You need them cut. Sorry, my cat is jumping on me and her claws are sharp. Crap, what was I saying? I don't even... Oh, he's been to the grocery store. He's been in my mom's car, in my dad's car. He went to all of our financial peace classes with me, except for the first couple, because Deb said I didn't have public access rights and he wasn't allowed to go. So he didn't go. And his little mate Skype had a heart condition, so I had to wear this heart monitor for a day, and it was a pain in the ass. It kept coming off of him, and I had to keep putting the machine back on and velcroing it back on him. Came off every 5 seconds, and I spent all day and night velcroing it back to him, and I couldn't wait to get the damn thing off, and I'm never doing it again. Sorry. I felt like I couldn't say no to my guide dog teacher, and all the other people were doing it, so I said yeah. And I wish I hadn't, because it was such a pain, but it's over now. Thank you, God. And my vet's really cool. People used to raise guide dogs for the blind, and he would provide their vet care, I guess. And so he's made a habit of service dogs get free vet care. Unless it's something where it's thousands and thousands of dollars, where it's a big surgery. Or with the allergy shots. I had to get some help from IAADP, which is a program called International Association of Assistance Dog Partners. And they give you, you get half price off of booties, which I haven't bought. You get flea and tick medicine. There's a bunch of medicines that your vet can call and order at a discount for you. If you have any access troubles, they will help you with veterinary care if you can't afford it. And if they feel like you're approved for the grant, they helped me get the allergy testing for Pop, so we would know what kind of shots to give him. And they put it in vials, and then my vet paid for the vials after that. But anything reasonable, my vet will pretty much do the well checks, the medicines, stuff like that. But they did help me with the allergy shots so that Pop could continue to work. And they had a grief counselor. They offered me a grief counselor when I lost Pop, and it's just a really amazing program. It's for all assistance dogs, but they can do a lot, and it's a really cool program. Our school introduced us to it. They pay for the first year, and then you have to pay after that, and they recommend that you keep up on it, you have to. And then Hill's Pet Nutrition, the company that makes Science Diet, they give us free food. What's required is a $10 donation to the school. They paid for Pop's really expensive prescription food that he was on. Now Chrome's on regular food. They ship it to your house, and the reason they do this is because Morris Morris. What the heck? I can't remember the guy's name. It was Frank Morris or Morris Frank or something. It was the guy that had the first guide dog. I don't remember the whole story, but it's something to do with he wanted special food for his dog because he needed to be on a special diet to work, and I don't know the whole story, but somehow Science Diet developed a formula for special dog food, and they gave it to Buddy, who was the guide dog, for free. And so Hill's Pet Nutrition gives it to the school for free because they're in Kansas, and also because they gave the first guide dog its food, and so they want to continue the tradition or something. And so so Hill sends us food, and then KSDS ships us free Heart Guard. We get that standard every year usually. And then usually with Pop, I got my flea medicine from IAADP towards the end, before I got some from my vet, and then he said I'd have to start paying, but then I got it from the IAADP. And then now with Chrome, my company KSDS is getting Advantix, and the representatives have been giving them samples, and they have so many right now that they're able to give them to their clients. So until they tell me I can't get any more, they'll keep sending them to me. And they've already gave me a year's supply, and if they wind up not being able to send them anymore, I can just request the Frontline, I'm sorry. Frontline is what they're giving me, I think. And then if they run out of samples, then I can always request the Advantix from IAADP. And I'm going to be in the KSDS newsletter for graduation, but I I don't know when it's coming out. I looked again and it's still not on the website. But anyways, sorry this is really long, but that was basically my experience with guide dogs and how they changed my life and how I came to this place and how I wound up loving dogs. Like, somehow these guide dogs just steal your heart and you realize how much they can do for you. And I remember when we got lost with Pop. I got lost in Washington, Kansas. This is a small ass town. It's like 9 blocks. So it's after like 6:37. There is nobody on the streets. Nobody anywhere to ask anything. Everyone's in their houses. Everyone. I mean, literally everyone. Which I'm not used to because I live in Omaha, Nebraska, and it's a city, and whenever I'm lost, I can say, excuse me, and there's like nobody. I was so scared. I wandered around for like an hour and a half. I was crying. I was petting Pop. I was telling him to find home, and he thought it was a game, and he just started sniffing every single thing and playing around, and eventually we wandered for like an hour and a half, and eventually somebody said, hey Sarah, and I said, help, I'm lost, and I went running into their arms and I was crying, but I kept saying it's going to be okay because we're together, and I kept telling Pop, like, it's going to be okay because I have you, and it's going to be okay because, you know, like, we're together and I have you and we're going to figure this out and I'm not alone. So I was scared, but it felt different than when I got lost with my cane because I felt like I wasn't alone, and as long as we were together, we were going to be okay, which is like kind of what I talked about before. And when I lost Pop, it was really hard, and Deb said she didn't know what I did wrong, so she couldn't teach me, but I eventually found my way, and that's what mattered. So I'm like, okay, whatever. And then Pop didn't poop in one spot, so it's really annoying because I couldn't clean it up, and people at the apartments like hated it and blah blah blah. But Chrome goes in one spot like every other guide dog, and he's just like every other guide dog, and I'm able to clean it up, and it makes me feel good that I'm able to like take care of my dog. And so when I lost Pop, my depression got worse because I felt like as long as I had Pop, I was okay. If one of us wasn't okay, the other one was okay, so we'd eventually be okay because one of us was okay. I know it doesn't make sense, and it sounds really weird, and most of you won't understand it, but that's how I think, and that's how I thought. So when Pop died, I was like, I'm not okay because my other half is gone, and he's not okay, he's gone. So I'm not okay because, like, I always thought if something's wrong with me, then we'll be okay because he's okay. If something's wrong with him, then we'll be okay because I'm okay. And I lost that other half, and I didn't feel okay anymore. I felt like I wasn't okay because my other half of my okay was gone. So, like, if I wasn't okay, then I wasn't okay. There was no other part where if I wasn't okay, they were okay. So I could trust that we were going to be okay because one of us was okay. It was just me. And I didn't feel okay. And I didn't have that other part of me to feel okay. So I was like, I couldn't think, well, if I'm not okay, you're okay, so it'll be fine. I was like, I'm not okay, so I'm not fine, because now I'm not okay anymore. Because in my head, I thought, you know, like, we're a team. If one of us is okay, then we're both going to be okay eventually. And now I didn't have that team anymore. I didn't have that other half of the okay. And so I just lost it. I didn't know what to do. Because I couldn't say, oh, I'm not okay, but you're okay, so we'll be fine. I didn't have that other piece of the okay. So I felt like I wasn't okay. And then when I got Chrome back, now I kind of feel like I'm okay again. And I have that. I know it's a really weird mindset, and I know it doesn't make sense probably to anybody. But that's how I feel, and that's how I felt. So when I lost Pop, I didn't know what to do because I wasn't okay anymore. And I didn't have that other half to pull me through. Like, when I wasn't okay, I knew I would eventually be okay because my dog was okay. Or if my dog wasn't okay, I knew he'd eventually be okay because I was okay. And shut up. Something's on my Mac, and I can't get it off, and it, like, I don't know. Anyway, so I just, like, I didn't feel okay anymore. And I lost that half, and I didn't know what to do. Because I felt like we were a team and we had each other, and so everything would be okay no matter what. And when I lost that, I felt like I wasn't okay. I lost my okay. You know, like I leaned on him. When I had a bad time or I had surgery or whatever, I knew I was going to be okay because he was fine. Or vice versa, you know, when he got the allergies, I knew that I was going to be okay. He was going to be okay because I was okay. So we kind of held each other up. And it's almost like a house of cards. Like, he held one side and I held the other. And then when he died, the house just fell down. And I struggled with that for a while because then I was like, he's gone, so I'm not okay. Because I can't say, well, I'm not okay, but I'm going to be okay. I would say I'm not okay, but my dog's okay, so I'll be okay. Well, that was gone, so I couldn't say I'll be okay because I'll be okay, so I'll be okay. I mean, it was me. So if I wasn't okay, I wasn't okay. And I didn't feel like I was going to get better because I was like, I'm not okay. Something goes wrong, like depression or surgery or whatever, I'm not going to be okay because there's nobody else to be okay. It doesn't make sense, I know. It really doesn't, and I don't know how else to explain it. And now I'm rambling. But that's how I felt. So when I lost Pop, it was really hard for me because I lost that other okay. And I lost the confidence. And right away, everybody could tell that my confidence just went down the crapper. I mean, it just went. I wasn't the same person. I didn't travel as well. I was blah. I was just didn't care about anything. Just everything in me changed. And I was just a different person. And everybody I knew saw it right away. And they noticed that without the guide dog, I was this totally different person. And my mom even noticed it. And she felt so bad. And she realized how much the guide dogs meant to me. And she said, no matter what, we're going to let you bring your guide dog. And they were prepared to buy seat covers for the seats and like plastic for the floor and stuff, so that the fur wouldn't get all over and they could just clean the seat covers or clean up the plastic. And luckily Chrome doesn't shed, but they finally understood when they saw me without a dog and they saw how I changed. They understood what it meant to me and they understood what it did. And they changed and I changed when Pop died. And now I have Chrome and everyone just loves them, and I feel like it's how it's meant to be. I feel like it's the perfect match, and I feel like I'm where I need to be, he's where he needs to be, and I feel like it's the way it is. And I mean, I feel like, I don't know how they match these dogs, but it's perfect. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better match. He's so calm and chill and just, he's amazing. I can't explain it, but the bond that you have with these dogs is so different than anything else. Like, I don't know if anybody sighted is ever going to understand it. I think it's something that we as blind people only understand. But there's something about that bond. It's like, it's so deep. I've never felt a bond like that with anybody, any person. And so when people say, like, guide dogs are abused and this and that, bull honky, some lady was yelling at me. I don't know if my sister remembers this, but when I first got Pop, she let me take him and we went to the dollar store. This old bitty lady is following us around going, that's so rude that you won't let him sniff. That's rude that he has to be in the harness. That's so rude that nobody can pet him. I'm calling the Humane Society. You're abusing the dog. This is abuse. And she was like screaming stuff at me and following me around the store. Like following me. Literally. Would not leave. She followed us. And I was like, oh my God. And I told my guide dog teacher and she's like, oh, ignore that. And I was just like, oh. And then towards the end when Pop was dying, I got really mad because I had people accusing me of abusing my dog and saying they were going to call the Humane Society. My mom said if she didn't know me, she would have actually called the Humane Society because he looked abused. And I was getting really mad because I would never, ever do that to these dogs. They've changed my life, and I would never think of doing that. And so it broke my heart when people said I was abusing him because I knew I wasn't. And I just felt so bad. And I was prepared to give him up. And then he had cancer, so nobody could take him, and I had to put him to sleep. And my mom and dad were both there. My mom supported my dad because he needed it more than I did. And it was just a rough day. But we all got through it, and I felt bad because the next day my dad went to someone's birthday party with the kids, and they had a yellow lab that looked just like Pop, and he like welled up, and I felt so bad. And then when I got Chrome, I guess he cried because it reminded him of Pop because he was another lab, even though he was black. But that's kind of my story with like guide dogs, and I know they say you have to have excellent mobility, but my teacher said as long as you know your routes and you know where you're going, it's okay. And I feel like just not having to worry about what's in front of me, I can walk free and know that I'm safe. The dog's gonna keep me safe, and the dog's gonna protect me, and I don't have to be scared of like if something's gonna be in front of me because he's gonna show it to me. And I know like one of my mobility instructors when I was looking into getting a guide dog was like, if it doesn't work, give it back, and guide dogs walk really fast and you have to walk like 3 miles a day and blah blah blah, but they can match your speed. And Chrome walked really fast at first, but he's gotten to my pace, and I don't know, like guide dogs just, it's not what I thought at all. When I was a little kid, I thought, who wants to deal with this shit? Why would I want this? Why would you want a guide dog that's going to poop all over and jump on you and annoy the heck out of you? And I didn't know what it was. And I didn't know how much they could do. I didn't know that it could change your life. And it's definitely made me a lot more social. People talk to you. Sometimes people you don't want, but hey. I love when I take Chrome out to potty and these kids come running up and they have smiles on their faces and they're petting the dog and the moms are saying thank you so much, and I'm telling them what guide dogs are and they're asking why I'm blind. And you know, when I had a cane, people would say get away from her, get away from her. And with the dog, it's like the parents are like, I'm sorry, and I'm like, no, it's okay. And they just let their kids pet the dogs and the kids are so happy and laughing, and it just makes me feel good because I'm being accepted like everyone else instead of being told, get away, get away, get away. I mean, I felt like I had germs. Like, they wanted to get away from me because I was nasty. And I don't feel like that now. And when I was a kid, I was bullied a lot. So I've never really fit in to anywhere. I've never really belonged. I've never really fit in. And I always felt different because I was bullied and I was told I was different. Not by my family, but I was told I was different and I wasn't like other people. And I wasn't normal. And with the dog, I feel like I'm like other people. And I feel like I can see. Because all the other stuff I do in my life, I do differently, but it's not stuff that I notice. Like, oh, I'm doing this differently. It's just habit. Everything I do is habit. So I almost feel like I can see. And I don't have to worry because me and my dog have each other's back and we can see. So I don't know what else to say, but that's kind of my guide dog story and kind of why I got into guide dogs and what happened. And it's really changed my life. And it's amazing that these schools get so much donations, and the puppy raisers and everyone that takes so much time, not just KSDS, but like all these schools. There's like Seeing Eye, there's Guide Dogs of America, there's Guide Dogs for the Blind, there's Guide Dog Foundation, Pilot Dogs in Ohio. I mean, there's probably like over 30 Southeastern Guide Dogs. Can't remember where they're from, but that's one. I mean, there's like over 30 something guide dog schools, and they're all a little bit different, but pretty much the same in some ways. And it's just amazing how many selfless volunteers it takes to get these dogs to where they are so they can change your life. And it just amazes me that it's so perfect and it's so meticulous, and they just go through so much to give it away. The puppy raisers go through all this obedience and then they give it away. The guide dog trainers put all this time and effort into training the dog to go around obstacles and cross the streets, and intelligent disobedience to disobey your command if it's not safe, and avoiding what are those called, low-hanging branches. And they train them to do all this stuff just so they can give them away to somebody else at no cost. I mean, they do get paid somewhat, but they're doing all this work, and I know it's rewarding and gratifying, but they're doing all this work just to give the dog away. but they realize how much it can change a life. And they realize the independence that it has. And they realize what it can do for people. But it takes so many selfless people. Just donors, puppy raisers, trainers, kennel, whatever they're called, the people that work in the kennels that take care of the dogs. So many selfless people come together as a team to do something outstanding, and they do it every time. I've heard so many people say they did it again. They got the perfect match. This is the perfect dog. I don't know how they do it. And I've seen so many different videos on YouTube where I can just tell the dogs match the owner perfectly. I don't know how they do it, but it's like the most amazing thing. And it's almost like when you're 16 and you get a car. I've heard someone compare it to that. It almost feels like that. But it's just amazing, and I've never had anything that life-changing in my life. That sounds weird, but yeah. Anyway, but that's kind of my guide dog story, and I'm still amazed every day at what they can do, and I'm so thankful for all the people that put in time and effort to just give us these dogs, and it's just amazing, and just the stuff they do, it amazes me, and they're just amazing, and changed my life. I don't think about things the same. And I do like dogs a little bit more now. I'm still more like, oh, I like my dog. I don't like dogs coming up to me and jumping all over me and stuff. But, I mean, I'll pet dogs once in a while, or I'll pet, like, my family, my mom's dog Maximus, or I've gotten a little bit better, but I'm still more particular to my dog and my dog only. I'm not a huge dog person. Like, I don't want 5 labs running around my house. I don't want a lab and another dog running around my house. Like, I'm not a huge pet person. I don't want, like, an animal farm in my apartment. I'm still not that way. I've bonded with these dogs, and I love them because of what they can do for us. And I love them because they're not like the other dogs that I grew up with. You're not having to put up with that crap. You're not having to... The dog's not pooing all over. So you're not having to worry about stepping in poo. You're not having to worry about them jumping on you. You're not having to worry about them destroying stuff. You're not having to worry about... All that stuff is gone. These dogs are so trained that you don't have to worry about all that crap that made me hate dogs when I was a kid. All the stuff I worried about that was going to happen isn't there, because these dogs are trained and the dogs we had weren't. So that's a big difference. But that's kind of my guide dog story and kind of how it evolved, and now I have Chrome since November 6th, and I have public access rights, so I can go wherever I want. We went to Kansas City. It was thebomb.com. It was so fun. And I'm going to Vegas in June, and I can't bring him, and I'm really sad because you have to do a lot of walking in Vegas, and I can't walk long distances, so I have to take a wheelchair, and I can't have the dog and a wheelchair because it's just way too complicated. So I'm kind of sad that, like, I can't bring him, but life goes on. He's going to stay at my sister's house, and I'm sure he'll have tons of fun with the kids, and tons of fun playing around and taking a break from work, and it'll be like his mini vacation. So it'll be good. But anyways, so that's kind of my story, and I just thought I would share it with all you guys because I didn't know how many people knew my story, and I just love watching other people's guide dog videos and why they got a dog and how they got a dog, and I just thought it would be interesting to share my story. Sorry it was so long, but I hope that you guys have a good night and that you have a good rest of your week, and I will talk to you guys in another video sometime. Bye.